a general social incompetence, a tendency to misread others' emotions and miscommunicate their own feelings. It would be a show about how even the smartest people can struggle with the people part of everything. Laurie and Prady pitched their idea to studio heads even before they had written the first script. Everyone loved it. These were such original characters. A pilot was ordered. However, when the writers started plotting out the initial episode, a problem emerged. As Prady told me, a sitcom only works if you know what the characters are feeling. Sitcoms are so fast-moving, joke after joke and twist after twist, that to succeed, the audience needs to understand each character's emotional state as soon as they appear on screen. What's more, the audience needs to see the emotional relationships between the characters, Prady said. They have to know if two people are fighting because they hate each other or because they love each other, or they're pretending to hate each other because they're actually in love. Emotions are everything in television. They have to be obvious, he told me. Put differently, it's crucial for an audience to hear a character's feelings, even when those emotions aren't spoken aloud. That created a problem, however, because the characters in The Big Bang Theory were designed to be bad at expressing their feelings. Sheldon, for instance, viewed emotions as a nuisance and felt the best way to assuage a friend was to point out that, quote, you have an entire lifetime of poor decisions ahead of you. Leonard could explain E=mc², but couldn't fathom why someone would get upset when he read their private diary. These kinds of misunderstandings were at the core of the show's humor. But how do you write a compelling script when your characters are incapable of showing how they feel? One option was simply to have them announce their feelings, to tell, not show. There's a problem with this approach, though. You can write dialogue like, I'm mad you're late for dinner, Prady told me, but no one talks that way in real life. People don't announce their emotions. They perform them. Someone screams, I cooked you dinner and you're welcome, and that's how you know they're angry, said Prady. Psychologists refer to this kind of communication as non-linguistic emotional expressions, and they comprise a vast portion of how we convey our feelings in everyday life. People's emotions are rarely put into words, wrote the psychologist Daniel Goleman. The key to intuiting another's feelings is in the ability to read nonverbal channels, tone of voice, gesture, facial expressions, and the like. Laurie and Prady confronted a conundrum. They couldn't have the characters announce what they were feeling because that was unrealistic and made for terrible television. And they couldn't have them show what they were feeling because, by design, they were supposed to be bad at showing their emotions. So the writers tried juxtaposing the physicists with other, more emotionally nimble characters to establish contrasts. They created Katie, a jaded neighbor who's fresh from a breakup and whose bitter pessimism highlights the main character's cheerfulness. To emphasize the character's longing for companionship, they invented a female physicist named Gilda, whose sexual frankness, she once had sex at a Star Trek convention while in costume, she announces in the pilot, underscores the men's naivete. The writers finished their script, auditioned actors, shot the pilot, and delivered it to the studio bosses, who recruited test audiences to provide feedback. This was largely a formality, however. Everyone was certain viewers would love the show. Audiences hated it. They disliked the characters, particularly Gilda and Katie, who struck them as toxic and threatening. But most of all, the audiences were confused. How were they supposed to feel about these characters? Were the physicists innocent children or sexualized adults? Were they lovable prodigies or gullible fools? None of the characters, viewers said, seemed to click with each other. The show was emotionally bewildering. You cannot make a sitcom where the audience doesn't know how to feel, Prady told me. It can't be 22 minutes of jokes with nothing emotionally holding it together. The Big Bang Theory had failed to ignite. However, the studio bosses offered Laurie and Prady a lifeline. If they reworked the script, they could reshoot the pilot and try again. When he got the news, Laurie turned to Prady. I told Bill, we got to dive into these wonderful, brilliant misfits and figure out how to make it clear who they really are. Freeze-dried astronaut feelings. From infancy,